Okay, it's recording. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can find it. Yep, there it is. Cool. So yeah, you're getting. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's only if I'm gonna need to do certain things like index certain pages, which we don't need to do. Um, so yeah, I mean, over the last 90 days, you're getting around 26,000 clicks with some pretty good keywords you're ranking for, and position 3 for wholesale pallets. I mean, those are some pretty competitive keywords. Um, just to check one thing, I want to see sort of how your uh, domain's doing overall with your authority merchandise. Okay, so merchandise. Whoops. Is it SE? It's SE, right? Or ZE? Really? Wow. All right, so holy cow. So we got 147,000 backlinks. So that's probably my first recommendation is to go through those because uh, you could be, I don't know, you could be getting into some trouble there depending on how old is this site? Yeah, so I mean, if you've never done a link audit, I would definitely look into that. Um, I mean, out of 147,000 links, I don't know how many of those are in Mandarin, you know. Um, the other thing is, let's look at your rankings over time. Well, what you do is you use a tool like Ahrefs and you download the links from your from here, and then you would go through those and see how many of those look sketchy because you can actually group. A lot of these links are probably going to be like from the same domains, and so you can group all the links together. You probably only have, I don't know, yeah, it looks like probably 830 actual domains referring to you. But overall, there's those 830, there's over 147,000 links. So if there's one domain linking to you 20,000 times, you probably want to get rid of that link. So yeah, you can see here, this is when you were doing really well, really well. Then a Google update rolled through, Panda, which is actually a content penalty. So you might be getting some things going on around the content that's being indexed on your site. So what we would do for that is we'd actually go into here and see what's being indexed. You got 391 pages being indexed. So that's the good thing for us is we don't have to use a huge gnarly tool to crawl your site like deep crawl. We can do it with a regular basically if you had a bunch of pages, I wouldn't be able to crawl this with a normal tool. We'd actually have to pay to get the thing in. So I'm gonna just crawl this really quick. Well, 400 pages total is no, not that many, but the fact that we're seeing a drop after the Panda algorithm, we know that there's probably something around content that you're getting hit for. Meaning that there might not be a lot of like really unique content on the website. It could be a lot of things because this was a while ago, so we don't know if it's other things too. So this is the first indicator. This URL right here, or I mean this title tag is way over the character limit, and you can see it's getting truncated here, meaning like it's cutting it off. So the first thing is we want to get all of our title tags under 75 characters, and I'm taking notes for you too. Get title tags under 75 characters. Is this site mobile friendly, by the way? Yeah, so there's actually something called the mobile first index getting rolled out pretty soon here, and you're gonna get even bigger hit if you don't get this thing responsive. So you said you're on Magento. Okay, I mean, I would probably do WordPress with the Shopify integration. That's what I would do. Yeah, because there's a plugin. Sorry, what? Because Shopify is limited with what you can do in terms of the SEO. And there's really not too big of a difference between just getting the WordPress version with the Shopify like plugin integration. So I mean that's what I would do, just because you're gonna run into some things down the line. But anyways, so yeah, the site needs to be responsive like ASAP, because I think that's gonna roll out in like a month or two, and it's been like this thing that everybody's been freaking out about. What else was I doing? So if I go into here, open that up. So the meta description is also way too long. We want these to be like 155 characters, so that's double the limits. And I'm sure like this is happening on tons of other pages too. We'll look at that in a second. Also, this meta keywords right here, this has been deprecated for years, so we want to get rid of that. Basically, Google was like, we don't use these anymore. They used to have to use these meta keywords tag to understand what the content was about, but now it's been long gone for a while. The H1 tag just says start here. This is really supposed to replicate the title tag. So we want the H1 tags to be keyword rich, with generally replicating what's in the title. We got a pretty slow load time, it looks like. Let's check out this. And to be honest, I actually want to plug this into another tool because PageSpeed Insights is kind of janky. So we can do things like image compression. I mean, really just page speed optimization in general. Page speed optimization needs to be done. And in brackets, we can say image compression, browser caching. I'm sure the server response time could probably be improved because it's at almost a second, which is still too slow. You can do minification of JavaScript and whatever else. Whoops, minification? How the heck do you spell it? Not magnet. Yeah, I'm just going to say minify code, etc. Because that's also going to, greatly reduce not just the conversions on the site, but also the rankings. So we don't want to do that. If we go into analytics as well, speaking of conversions, we're hoping that this is somewhat tracked. Looks like we are tracking when people are viewing certain pages, but what we want to be able to track is when they buy something. And okay, so how does that work? What do you... Oh, wow. Right. Right, so I mean that would still be a conversion though, because we can do call tracking. And so like if we know that 1 in 5 people who call turn into like some sort of value of whatever the average value is of a customer, then we could just take that average value and divide it by 5, and that would be our goal value we would set. So And then if you're getting like form submissions or people going to your Facebook group, like we can track certain things and assign values to them. But the reason why you want to do these things is because when at the end of the day, when you go into your analytics and you see your traffic, you want to say, oh, well, it looks like from organic we're getting about, a $600 per week return, and then over a month time span we're making $3,000, and then if we compare that to last month, we're making even more than last month. So it's important to be able to do that, because if you don't do that, then you never really know how much money you're making off of this stuff, and then if you don't know how much money you're making, then what's the point of even doing it? Okay, so we looked at the page speed. This isn't loading for some reason. I don't know why, but we do know it needs to be better. The other things is like, I mean, I could comment on some of this stuff, but I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know. The layout it's probably fine. The biggest thing is that when you have all this stuff going on, it's kind of hard for people to sort of understand what their main goal is, because like for us it makes sense because we spent so much time on this site that we know, okay, they can go here, they can go here, this is that, these are all of our categories. But like for a first person going here, it's like a lot. It would be better if we had like a one big picture or something, maybe text like this at the top with a big call to action where it says like type in your zip code here or something, where it's more straightforward and to the point, and it's not going to overwhelm people, because your homepage is going to be where you're getting most of your traffic. And if people are going on your homepage and they're overwhelmed by the huge amount of stuff you have on there, we could be losing out on a lot of conversions. And this is like one of the general SEO recommendations that a lot of people have, is like when you have these huge pages like this, which is actually looks pretty decent, 28% bounce rate. I don't know if that's only over these last days. If we go all the way back here, you can see still 28%, which isn't bad. But generally, like if you look at a lot of the SEO suggestions and there's like a lot going on like this, they'll say just put like one main thing here with a call to action that just has step one. So in terms of these categories, we want to see what's getting indexed. So we go site colon boom here. So that's getting indexed. You can see all the titles on these are like being deprecated because they're too long. Let's just go over to everything that's getting indexed again. We'll go back here. So you can see like certain things like this is getting indexed, 401.html, authorization required. So we don't want to index certain pages like this, mainly because there's really no point in them showing up in the search results. We want to get rid of our anything that doesn't really make sense to be in the search results, because it's just going to lower our entire value of the site. I don't know if we want this index. It doesn't even look like there's videos appearing here. Maybe there is. So yeah, I would say it would be a good idea to spend a good amount of time going through these different things that are showing up in the search results, and then see, what do you want to show up as indexed, what do you not want to show up as indexed. So we'll go to Screaming Frog, get out of there, and filter by HTML. So let's go down this sidebar. So I think there's two versions of the site possibly getting indexed. Let me see, which is a big problem. If we go to HTTP, so it looks like it's not, the HTTP version is not getting indexed, but let's see. View page, oops, sorry. So it is doing redirects, but for some reason it's being able to crawl both. So maybe you still have these other HTTP versions on this site. Oh, they're just all 301. Okay, that's fine. What was I gonna say about? Oh yeah, so the SSL is not fully done here. It seems like you have a certificate, but you didn't finish it. for some reason. And on sites like this with lots of products and whatnot, it would be a good idea to finish that because there's like more, it gets more weighed into sites like this when you have HTTPS. So, and also Google could start showing a warning pretty soon here for that not being complete. Finish SSL migration. Let's go back here. Let's also check out some other things like your sitemap. So that looks fine. Let's check out if you have it in here. Yep, that's good. Let's check out your robots.text. Okay, that's fine. So lots of 301s. Hopefully that's not actually on the pages, but that's just basically I'm hoping that you're not internally linking and then it's doing a redirect after you're doing the internal links. We should check that out later. We got some 404 pages. Might be a good idea to check out and see if these are of any value. I don't think they are. So some of these URLs are like way over the limits on things, which you only have 6 of those, so it's not that big of a deal. You can see here there's some pages with duplicate title or title tags, and it also looks like almost URLs as well. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if let's see if both of these are getting indexed. So it's more of just like a bunch of technical things going on, like these little things with your site that need to be resolved. A lot of the other stuff is just going to be like basic on-page fixing tons of title tags and meta descriptions that are duplicated like this, and that are way over the limits on your main pages. Getting rid of those meta keywords tags, fixing these H1s to replicate the actual title tags instead of it just saying like start here or something. Looks like we're missing alt text on a good amount of images, which would, a lot of these things are just small boosts in terms of relevancy. Fill out 36 missing alt tags on images. Whoops, go back over here. These are all index follow, that's fine. Do you know if you have a Google My Business account set up? Okay, let's check it out. What's the location again? Just the area. Geez, how are you doing over there? Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things we really want to do is fix these, at least respond to these. Yeah. Because if you at least respond to those, it'll look more legit. And we also want to come up with a review strategy, which I use for a lot of people, which basically, like, for some of the people I work with, I got them 70 reviews in a month with the review strategies I use. So I would say respond to reviews and come up with review strategy for location, because you really want to push down these other ones and even out your average rating. What were you going to say? reviews from your customers, and then you can also get reviews from an audience. So basically, if you can figure out how to convert this traffic you're getting into some sort of asset that you can control, whether it be like an email list or a Facebook group or whatever, which you can usually do by giving away something. You can actually ask people based off your like reputation or the content you provided. Say you gave them a checklist for liquidation, you could ask for a review based off that and get a bunch of reviews. Um, yeah, so that would be a really smart idea. What is the, hold on, wait, what was the traffic we're getting from keywords? It was over here. Wholesale pallets. Let's check out that page. It would also be nice to know how many of these keywords are actually getting us sales. So when they go in here, can they actually buy this stuff? That's so weird to me. So I don't understand. So they, so right. Well, wait. So what happens when you add this to your cart and you check out, and then say what? Sorry, you cut out right then. Oh, but what do they say when they call you? I'm not understanding. Wait, so what would they try to sell them though? Just like anything? Interesting. Okay, so I'm just trying to understand like um, how these pages are going to help us. I mean, are you do you know if you're making money off these pages? Right. Okay. I'm just trying to compare this to an SEO standpoint because it's hard to understand like what the direction would be if I just don't understand really the business model. Gotcha. Right, but that would be like not as much of an SEO point of view as more of like a user experience point of view. I'm saying like what like in the terms of the direction of like what you're trying to rank for, because like okay, gotcha. Right. So fro yeah. Yeah, because from like a national standpoint, it's a lot more difficult to like rank for some of the stuff you're already ranking for. Like the fact that you're ranking for this stuff is actually really good. Um, but from a local standpoint, it's a lot easier because you're more of just trying to take over an area. So, um, yeah, okay, cool. So I kind of get it now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Whoops. Okay, gotcha. Cool. All right. Yeah, so for a lot of that stuff, really what it comes down to is like optimizing local uh, service or product pages. So build out related local landing pages for main keywords around what we're trying to show up for in Miami. Um, and then we'd probably also want to do optimizations on Google My Business and get citations going, which yeah, that's basically just listing your name, address, phone number on other relevant local websites. The other thing is that I would say for some of these, since we're not ranking for them yet, it would be a good idea to run something called local extensions on AdWords so that we can collect data on uh, basically what people are typing in around these exact keywords and then just optimize our pages based off those. So what you can actually do, I'll show you really quick, is like for instance, I have this iPhone repair business that I was able to rank #1 in my area, and I did AdWords campaigns with like these local extensions, which will help you show on the maps actually within basically an ad. Um, and the cool thing about that is what it does is if you go into your keywords, you can actually see exactly what you're showing up for around your keywords, and then you just build out content around what people are clicking on. Yeah, uh, because it's going to take a lot longer to get the data based off just organic because you might not rank for it for like a month or two, and so that's why it's a really good idea to do. Um, also, let's see. We'd also probably want to start doing keyword research based off competition and see what they're showing up for. And then we could use that as ideas to build out content around as well. Um, I would also say that getting like optimized landing pages built out or conversion rate optimization based landing pages built out for your local areas would be a really good idea. Um, yeah, but you could basically integrate it with the site pretty easily. So I use something called ClickFunnels for this, and this like basically um, makes it a lot easier to sell to people because all of this stuff is like built off of psychology and whatnot. So I launch all of my courses on here, and I'm starting to launch products on here as well, like this audit. I was actually setting up this audit page today, so I can be more clear with what's going on, as you know, is a problem. But you can start using certain things like video to help in the selling process, and these pages you can still rank on Google, just like you would rank any other page, except it's, you can process money through this as well, and integrate it with like certain things like Stripe, where people can pay through here and have it sync with a bank account, and you wouldn't have to use your website in order for this to work. So I would say it'd be a good idea for some of our local landing pages, once we build them out, and also when you're pointing ads to them, we can test those pages really fast, only by spending like $100 to $200 a month, and we could probably be actually getting a lot of conversions through local ads as well, which you probably wouldn't even want to turn them off at a certain point. Depending on the average conversion value, we still have to figure that out too and set that. So let's see what else. So I'm just trying to think like what else would be like what you'd want to do early on, because a lot of this stuff, like, it also depends on where you're going with the site. You said that you're thinking about redesigning it, and right. Gotcha. Cool. From a technical standpoint on this stuff, I would probably start setting up your schema markup and your OG data, which is basically uh, like technical code you can put in the website to have Google better understand like that this is an organization or that this is a local business. And then also on a social side of things, if we check this out, um, it actually looks okay, except this, like I said, the title's just way too long. So um, schema markup. Um, so it looks like we have our contact us page and everything, which is fine. Yeah. Sorry, you just cut out. The problem is that it could. You're kind of taking a gamble when you switch over because, especially if the content changes a bunch. Um, so I mean that should be weighed into the sort of the decision. Uh, it's There's been cases where I've seen people do the redesign and have all of their traffic drop, and then I've seen it where people have done a redesign and their traffic like went up even higher. Generally, if you keep the content the same, the title tags, the meta descriptions the same, and you're not messing too much with like how the page speed loads. I mean, the thing is though is that this site overall is not like friendly for mobile devices. It's not. It doesn't have a very fast page speed time. Um, a lot of that stuff is actually like kind of limiting the site. So I think if you did do it right and you improved upon those things, it would probably only send quality signals to Google and you'd actually probably rank higher. But you, like I said, you are taking a gamble and you have to be really careful with what you're doing. But it does, yeah, I mean, like, for instance, if you were to change, say you were getting a lot of traffic from the palettes page, which we know you're getting a lot of traffic from. If they go in and like completely remove this content, the title tags changed, this layout isn't really similar. Maybe there's different images with different, sort of names, and maybe this HTML, like maybe this changes to like a capital P and they forget to do a redirect. There's tons of things that could go wrong where or maybe they removed this sidebar that Google really values. Like, you want to keep it when you first do the migration as similar as possible, and then do changes afterwards. So, because otherwise you're not going to know what affected the site. And if you just start changing everything, like you say, okay, well, let's remove that, let's remove all of this, let's add some things in here, and then you do that to like 50 other pages as well, but it's all different. What's going to happen is you're going to be like, okay, well, we just got a huge drop and we have no idea what this is related to, and then it's hell trying to figure out, oh, well, we didn't do the redirects, or look, there's still a no index tag on this page, or all this other stuff. And that's why people end up hiring me to figure that stuff out for them, which can be like literal hell. So it's better to just try to keep, it's better just to try to keep everything similar. And honestly, if you're going to do the changes, like for instance, doing the SEO, I would either do it now, or I would wait and then do it, because you're going to want to, like I said, if you do the changes, you're going to want like probably a month or two before you switch things over. Yeah, I mean, right now, if you wanted to do it, I think, you'd be totally fine to try to switch it over. Um, but if you're going to be doing SEO, I would like, say, a month or two beforehand, okay, stop doing the SEO, because if somebody's doing the SEO and then the next day they change the site, or you guys change the site, it could be, something completely unrelated to what was going on, and there's a huge drop in traffic, and now you're screwed because you have to spend, the next week figuring out why there's a drop in traffic. Or maybe not even, some people don't even figure it out sometimes. Um, Wait, the last part was, should you wait to, well, okay, yeah, so I see what you're saying. Um, well, well, yeah, so I mean, you're only gonna really be improving the site with a lot of this stuff. Like, uh, a lot of the suggestions that I make aren't really like things that I would say do, unless, I mean, like, I wouldn't say there's a lot of liabilities here. I try to do all my SEO based off like zero liabilities. The only thing that you probably really wouldn't want to do is like the link audit right afterwards. Um, but that's why I always build these top 10 lists at the end. So I mean, like, the first thing I would say is, I would either migrate the site to a WordPress theme, um, or if you're not going to do that, I would do the on-page basics first, like get rid of all of the, huge title tags, meta descriptions, all the basic stuff I mentioned. Um, the other thing that I would definitely fix, right away, would be the conversion tracking, like setting up call tracking. You could do that at any point, just so you can start seeing, like, at least start getting an idea on kind of how many calls you're getting, how much money you're making off those calls, etc. Because then you can start spending more time on the things that are bringing you in money versus like wasting time doing things that aren't going to bring you money. Um, I would start getting, well, depending on kind of, once you make big changes, it also will kind of change some of these things. I would definitely do the page speed optimization at pretty much any point. So even if you do migrate over, you're going to have to compress the images. You're probably going to have to get a better server, depending on what you're using, um, and whatever else. Uh, I would get a review strategy in place to start fixing that, because a lot of your keywords are probably coming from your brand, and if a lot of people are seeing these 2 stars with negative reviews, we want to get away from that as fast as possible, because that's probably going to get you like a 50% increase in conversions just by fixing those negative review or pushing those down. The other thing would be finishing the SSL migration. I would do the Google My Business optimizations. Whoops. So that you can start showing up for those other related areas. You could literally do that just by mentioning certain things in your pictures and optimizing the file URLs to say like, our service in this location selling wholesale clothes or whatever. I would also set up the related landing pages for local. I'd create the conversion rate optimize conversion rate optimized pages and drive ads to those, because you can, you're gonna have to wait like a month anyways to get the data off of those, and then you might even just get a bunch of sales through that, and that could be like your new strategy. Although it's good to supplement both. It's good to supplement organic and ads, because then you can just pretty much take over. Like this site, when I was running the ads, I was taking up this whole above the fold right here, like there was ads up here, and it was like pushing this all the way half down the page, and then I was showing up here in the map as well. You can see that that's happening for them, and then I was showing up here, so I was showing up twice in the map, first and second, and then I was showing up here, and I was just dominating. I was getting like every single call, which is kind of what we want for you. And then the last thing would be like the link audit, but there's a lot you can do, especially with a site this big, and since you're targeting national and local. If you were to want any help, I would probably only be willing to help on the local side of things, just because when it gets to national, you need really sort of a larger budget in terms of content and time, and when you're playing national, you're playing with people with who have way bigger budgets usually than you do. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I didn't want to dive too deep into it. Like usually I come up with like a list of 40, but because you have so many big things going on, it's harder to like make predictions on sort of, you're kind of like in this like uh, migration period, not just in terms of your site, but like in terms of the links, in terms of a lot of things that could affect your site. So, if the link audit like tanks the traffic or builds a bunch of traffic, you're probably going to go in a different direction based off that. And same thing with the building out the local stuff. So there's just so much going on that I don't want to like make huge predictions for the future. Yeah. It usually doesn't. And most of the time, like, you're probably only going to try to get rid of, like, I don't know, maybe 1/5 of the links, if even less, because a lot of the links, like, unless you're getting a penalty right now, which from SEMrush, it doesn't look like you're getting a link-related penalty. It looks like you're getting a content-related penalty, which has to do with, like, not having a lot of unique content on your site. Um, I would say that it's probably not a good idea to really mess with a lot of your links, because even if they're like just somewhat sketchy, um, you know, that could, uh, well, no, I mean, it could be bad for you, because if you disavow that, even if it's somewhat sketchy, but it's still passing value, uh, you just lost that value. So you have to be really kind of careful. Some people just go in and disavow half the links on their site without even really knowing what they're doing, and then drop all their traffic. So I think it'd just be a good idea just to go in there and just comb through like the ones where it's like, Mandarin pointing to your site, and make sure you disavow those. But It would just be a good idea since you haven't looked at it in a while. But yeah, I mean, you can see the Penguin algorithm launched here, which that's the one that has to do with links. And it looks like you got a small drop there, but your biggest drop, which was insane, was over here. And this is around when which is the one, yeah, which has to do with content. So, um, well, generally when you start fixing this like crazy amount, because it looks like right now, it looks like you're doing black hat, which is what you're actually doing with these title tags and stuff. So that's why I said the first thing that you probably want to do is just the basics, just getting rid of these keyword stuff, title tags, getting rid of the keyword tags, fixing your meta descriptions, and just doing that on your main pages, and then just see how that affects your content or your website first. Of course, you want to. Yeah, I mean, you give it like a month. It depends though. Like if you go in and you see like you can type in cache like this, you can actually see when the last time Google crawled the site. So you can see here, it crawled it yesterday, which is actually pretty good. But if you make a bunch of changes and some of the pages haven't been crawled since like, 5 months ago, then it's not going to matter because Google's not going to pick up the changes. So, um, yeah, but I mean, I would do this on the main pages because those are the pages that are probably getting crawled the most frequently, and then see if that affects the positions, because you can actually go after 30 days afterwards, you can compare it and look at the positions, and if they went from like 3 to 1 or 10 to 1, then Google's picking up a lot of these changes as positive signals, which there's no way they're not going to, because these are just super keyword stuff. This is exactly what black hat people were doing back in the day, which we can see here. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, once you fix those, I mean, it's literally just the basics at that point, and then everything after that is kind of just building out new content, getting the user experience more set in by uh, fixing a lot of these things we were talking about in terms of the sort of the site layout, and then fixing some of the technical issues like what's being indexed, finishing the SSL migration, setting up the schema markup, and then building out those ads and stuff. Right. You can set that up on WordPress too. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can use tools. Like there's this one called Optimizely that you can try. Generally, what people will do is they'll just take a guess and, just measure their analytics in terms of their user experience afterwards. Like I'll show you this one site. They just switched over from one theme to a complete other. Let me see if I can find it. Or here. I only have like a few clients right now because I'm very selective with who I take. But you can see like, so this is when I first came in and I started doing SEO for them. And you can see they're slowly going over time, and they're like, hey, Chase, around here, we're going to switch to a different design. And I'm like, okay, be really careful. And then they weren't very careful and they dropped all of their traffic. And then I fixed it for them. And then you can see here, yeah, so now they went from, 26 page views a day to about 1,400 within a few months. Um, and what we can do is we can, right, right, which is really low. I mean, it depends on the industry, but that sounds pretty low. And you know, that's why conversion tracking is so important, because if we go and we see, like, for this client, I set up conversion tracking for them, and I go, okay, acquisition, all traffic, source medium, and then I go, this month compared to last month, uh, we can see, whoops, the goal conversion rate, well, actually, this, when they changed the site over, they accidentally, I think, removed analytics at a certain point, which was right here. Yeah, because they forgot to add that back in when they updated their theme afterwards. But you can see, like, we can compare the certain dates, like, where is it? 506 goals completed, and then we assign an average value to that, which this is actually pretty accurate. And we can say, oh, well, this month we made this much more versus last month. But then what we do is we go, okay, well, let's see how our landing pages are performing. So then we'll go into site content, we'll go to our different pages, and we'll see. Actually, sorry, let me go to landing pages. Wait, it's over here. Hold on, where is it? It is. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I think that's actually it. Landing pages. So then we can say, oh, well, this page has 205 conversions versus last month's, which only had 100. So the change that we made to this page obviously is affecting the conversion rates, how many people are calling or how many people are, doing what we want them to do, 100% more. So we know that this is the changes we're doing are working. And a lot of that really is just going in and, like I said over here, getting rid of a lot of the confusion and being really straight up with what you want people to do, which is why these, ClickFunnels pages work so well, because when people go and they hit these pages like this, yeah, I mean, it just goes, and if you can sell with video too on these pages, it makes their conversions go even higher. Yeah, of course. I mean, well, the other thing too is because bounce rates are huge. If you have a 10% bounce rate, Google usually is able to pick that up. And if they can see that people are spending a lot of time on the site, which they're going to if there's a video that usually auto plays or something, you can sell to them in those videos. And the other cool thing is you just take those videos and you have them rank for the same stuff you're ranking for on organically, and you rank in YouTube, which was also going to pull significant traffic, which is what these people at the sleep site I was showing you do. So that would also be another suggestion I would say at some point is repurpose your content on YouTube and add it to your content to pretty much upgrade it and reduce bounce rates, and also sell to people at a higher rate. Yeah. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually, as we speak, well, not as we speak, but similar to this timeline, I'm creating actual landing pages to just basically list my services. Um, and what I like to do is I don't like to be like put in month to month, because every time I do that, people like make me the reason why their marketing is either being successful or failing, which I don't do. I just do the code behind the scenes or create the suggestions, and if it works, it works. But in the end, it's always a gamble, any type of marketing you're doing. Um, so what I would say is, if I could do anything for you, and I'll just put this in here because I don't have the pages up yet. I would probably say, anytime you need an audit, I can do audits. Anytime you need like on-page basics, getting landing pages optimized in terms of the titles and all the stuff we we're talking about. You know, I can run through and do that for all of your pages. Click-through rate optimization, which means like going through your pages, seeing what they're ranking for, and then, you know, adding like qualifiers and, you know, whatever I do around the on-page stuff. You can see any of my videos. I have a bunch around on-page, internal linking, stuff like that. Definitely the Google My Business optimizations and the citations, and also getting the well, I would say that I would want somebody to help with the content. I mean, I could order somebody for that, but you know, that would go with the optimizations, on-page optimization. So you could hire somebody to write the content for you, because either way you're going to want, you know, content to rank for the keywords locally, like for, you know, wholesale clothing, or wholesale, you know, whatever, Miami. Yeah, so you need those landing pages, which are usually 300 to 500 words. So you would get the content, I would optimize them, however you would get that. So really anything around audits, on-page optimizations, Google My Business, any sort of advanced SEO like Schema Markup, OG data, whatever, link audits. Yeah, so Schema Markup's just like the stuff you put in your site to show Google, like behind the scenes, what your site's about. So if you go to like my site and you type in like, and you scan it with Google's tools, you can actually see that I marked up these pages to show Google, hey, look, this is an organization, this is a website, this is, which you would think would be obvious to Google, but you can actually put this stuff in here and show these are all my social media profiles. You know, this is the site navigation and stuff like that. And the last thing I would say is, you know, I could definitely do the conversion tracking for you, the online and offline, get that set up correctly. Yeah, so yeah, exactly, yeah. So yeah, anything around like on-page, Google My Business, sort of the advanced site SEO, and the conversion tracking I can help with. Anything else, like in terms of like building out the content, or actually, sorry, the last one would, actually, I'm going to take out the schema, the advanced stuff, because you don't even really need it right now. I would just say link audit, and then also the other thing would be getting the ads up with the landing pages. Yeah, so I'll just say local. No worries. Right. I mean, I could help with that too. So keyword research. Yeah, so I mean, so like I said, the best way to do it is just to, you know, create some pages around stuff we think we want to target that we could kind of find based off our keywords. And then what you do is you just basically go into these, like, you know, a couple weeks later, and because a lot of the stuff that people find you for these things aren't actually what you think, because like even if it has a high search rate, it might just be something that your competitors are searching, or maybe they're searching, people are searching but they're not buying. So like for instance, you know, if I go and I bid on these keywords like iPhone screen repair, and I go to search terms, I didn't know that a lot of people clicked on this for iPad screen repair, so I should build a page around that because I could make a bunch of money off of that. So yeah, I mean, that's probably how I would do it. And then yeah, so I mean, from like a step-by-step perspective on what, you know, I would probably recommend helping you with is I would say, you know, it would be a good idea to do some keyword research, conversion tracking, landing pages for local, Adwords, and then on-page basics. Well, that would probably actually be last, because I would say Google My Business would also be Google My Business plus review strategy, and then on-page basics. Yeah, so I usually just uh, I would like to charge by the project. I don't have exact estimates on that. It usually depends on how many hours it takes me to set this stuff up. So, I mean, the audits are like 200. You know, if it's private, it's 300. Also, you probably want all of this stuff privately done, right? Because I usually do all this stuff on my channel. So, generally, I don't get clients that don't let me do the videos publicly because that's how I get all my content. But I could still record them and publish them privately for you. It would just be uh, I would just have to charge you more. Yeah, so the on-page optimizations, I'd say for like 10 main pages, should only take like an hour. All of this stuff would probably be around like 200 bucks, just to like do. I mean, if you wanted like 20 pages done, then I'd probably actually sorry, it'd be like 300. If you wanted like 20 pages done, then it would probably be double that. I usually go in and just do the main pages, and then yeah, and then um, I could price this stuff out, but really what it comes down to is it'd probably be around 200 to 300 an hour to do this stuff for you. No, I could give you estimations. I mean, the link audit would probably be 1 to 2 hours. The Google My Business would probably be around 2 hours. Um, the conversion tracking would probably be an hour and a half. The keyword research and getting the ads up and the landing pages would be like the most time extensive, which would probably be around 5 hours. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, maintenance in my perspective would be like, continuing content, continuing A/B testing, continuing, monitoring links, continuing like building out like ads and landing pages, all that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean, that would probably be the ongoing maintenance. It really depends on sort of how things are going. Yeah, pr- pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how I prefer it. If I could just be like more of the kind of guy who goes in and helps you with the things that you guys can't do yourself, and then at the same time, teaching you guys as well, like what would be the best things to do, because in the end, you guys know way more about your business than I do, and at a certain point, SEOs can only go so far. Yeah. Um, Yeah, so right now it's just Google because I try not to like water down what I'm good at. We are trying to get that going from some other people that I'm talking to, but at the moment it's just SEO. Oh yeah, definitely. Um, well, I mean, just overviewing it, I mean, it would probably only take me an hour, so probably like 300 bucks. I honestly, what I would probably recommend is that me and somebody else just kind of go through things together, and we just keep doing it at the hourly. You just book a time with me, and then I can just take whoever wants to go through this stuff with me, whether it be, whatever it be. Because a lot of this stuff's only going to take an hour or two. The only thing that I would say if you wanted to, you know, just have me do on my own, I would say is probably the landing pages and the ads. Cool. I'll upload it right now and send it over. All right, you too, man. Bye.